Hey everyone, Pastor Jonathan Hatt. Welcome to the Weekly Word once again. And today in the new year, I just wanted to talk about living a resurrected life. How as we are believers and we follow Jesus, he says we're born anew in him. And I want to talk about how our lives are lives of restoration, how God just takes us and restores us to a place of where we should be. In Romans 5:12 talks about sin. It says, therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, and in this way death came to all people because all sinned. And that tells us that we're born into sin, and we all live sinful lives. Sin entered the world through Adam before he and Eve ate the fruit, before they disobeyed God. There was no sin. Technically, they would have lived forever had they not sinned. They could have gone on, and because of their sin, because of what they did in the garden, because they ate that fruit, death and sin entered the world. And because sin entered, death entered, because the Bible says that the wages of sin is death. That's the repercussion of sin, that blood has to be spilt. And death entered the world. So every human being, apart from Jesus, was born into sin from then on, throughout history, everyone. And because of that, because of sin, therefore every human must die. The wages of sin is death again. Paul wanted the church in Rome here in Romans 5:12. He wanted the church in Rome to know that they weren't exempt from this law. They were kind of thinking themselves better than everybody else, that they were exempt from that. And Paul's reminding them, no, that this is for everyone, that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But through Jesus, they didn't have to live like that, though. That through Jesus, sin could be conquered, death could be conquered, they could be restored. They didn't have to live as a slave to sin any longer. They could live in the freedom that only Jesus brings. They could live a restored life, a life of restoration. They could live a restored people through the power and only the power of Jesus' resurrection. That's the only thing that makes it possible. Now, I remember in Bible school, my first year, I had a Gen Psych paper, and I had worked the whole semester on it. It's the last thing that you had to do at the end of that semester, and general psychology was a lot, and I liked it. I liked all my psych courses, and the professor was great, and I worked all year on it, and the night before we were to pass it in, I was working tons on it, and making sure everything was good, and stayed up all night, pulled an all-nighter, drank some Red Bull, just kept going, typed it out, had it all ready, and modified it a bit, and then decided to get some sleep. Just an hour or so, and then when I woke up, I went to print it, but when I went to print it, the file was gone. I couldn't find the file, and I panicked. I was like, my whole grade is riding on this. I fail if I don't get this done, and I was losing it. And I was like, no! And luckily, somebody walking by my dorm room early that morning heard my cry in desperation. And he knocked on the door. He's like, what's up? And he came in, and he's like, don't worry about it. I'll find it. After I told him that I couldn't find the file, and he's a really techie guy, and I'm not that techie at all. And anyway, he went in, and he found the file, and I was able to print it, and I put it in. He found the file, and he restored it. You see the correlation there. We are the same way. God has restored you through the empty tomb. Through Jesus' resurrection, you can be restored to that place where we should be. Through his resurrection of Jesus, you have to trust and obey and follow God. And he says, listen, if you put your belief in me, you put your faith in me, you put your trust in me, I restore you to where you need to be. I can conquer sin, hell, death, the grave. It's all conquered, and you can be restored through me. You know, we often go through life as Christians, even thinking, I'm just a lowly sinner saved by grace. I don't deserve God's grace. I don't deserve his mercy. I don't deserve salvation. I don't deserve his blessings. I don't deserve this, which is true. It is. But he says the minute that you've been restored, he said, now you're a joint heir with me. Now you're a child of God. Now that everything I have is yours, and you've been restored to that place, that you are worthy. And you are my most prized possession. And he says, you do deserve what I give you because of all the pain, all the suffering that he went through. That's why he did it. That's why the resurrection is there. And that's why he conquered all of that, so we could be restored to that place, that the moment that we breathe our last breath, our next is in eternity with him. And for us here that remain, we wait for that beautiful day where the eastern sky splits and he calls us home. So live that restored life. Not a slave to sin, not a slave to all of the pressures and the issues of the world. Live that restored life where you rise above all of those hardships, all those issues, all those struggles. And Jesus says, walk in that freedom that I give you and shine that beautiful, bright light to the rest of the world around you. So this week, I want you to try to change your way of thinking and realize that you are a child of God. You are a joint heir with Jesus Christ, and He loves you. Get into His Word this week, dig into it, and live that restored life.